Edward Paul Ed Flanders was an American actor best known for his role as Dr. Donald Westphall in the television series Saint Elsewhere. Life and career. Flanders was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the son of Bernice and Francis Michael Gray Flanders. Flanders began his acting career on Broadway before moving on to guest parts in television series. From 1967 through 1975, Flanders appeared in more than a dozen American TV shows, including 6 appearances on Hawaii Five-0. During this time, he was also prolific in TV movies. He also married actress Ellen Gier, with whom he had a son, Ian Flanders, before they divorced. In the late 1970s, Flanders moved away from small TV roles to take major credits in both TV and feature films, while continuing his stage career. In 1974, Flanders won a Tony Award for Best Supporting or Featured Actor in a dramatic presentation for A Moon for the Misbegotten by Eugene O'Neill on Broadway. He also won an Emmy Award in 1976 for the TV movie adaptation of A Moon for the Misbegotten. Saint Elsewhere. In 1982 he began his role in Saint Elsewhere that was to earn him 4 Emmy Award nominations as Outstanding Lead Actor in a TV series, winning the award in 1983. After a stormy departure from the series in 1987, he returned for 2 more episodes including the 1988 series finale. During a scene in which Westphall addressed the staff, Flanders began speaking extemporaneously about the quality of art and had to be edited for broadcast. His exit on Saint Elsewhere as a regular cast member was titled Moon for the Misbegotten after the play that won him a Tony Award. The episode gained much publicity as Westphall left the hospital after mooning his new boss, Dr. Gideon. Flanders continued his working relationship with executive producer Bruce Paltrow in the short-lived 1994 CBS series The Road Home. Notable roles. In addition to his 6-year role as Dr. Donald Westphall, Flanders is noted as the actor who has played President Harry Truman more times, and in more separate productions, than any other. He portrayed Truman, who was president from April 1945 until January 1953, across the end of World War II and most of the Korean War in Truman at Potsdam, Harry S. Truman, Plain Speaking, and MacArthur. In the last, Flanders had second billing to Gregory Peck's lead as General Douglas MacArthur. Flanders is one of a very short list of actors, including Jason Robards and Anthony Hopkins, who have portrayed 2 different presidents. See also this list of actors who played presidents. In feature films, Flanders performed major roles in 2 dark movies based on novels by William Peter Blatty. In the first, The Ninth Configuration, he plays Colonel Richard Fell, a self-effacing medic at a secret U.S. Army psychiatric facility who assists Marine psychiatrist Colonel Vincent Kane. The film was based on Blatty's darkly satirical novel Twinkle, Twinkle, Killer Kane. In 1990, Flanders played Father Dyer alongside star George C. Scott in Blatty's The Exorcist 3 based on the novel Legion. One of Flanders' best remembered TV guest roles was in the first season MASH episode Yankee Doodle Doctor, playing film director Dwayne William Bricker, who is making a documentary about MASH units and comes to the 4077th on the recommendation of General Clayton. When Hawkeye and Trapper react to Bricker's filmmaking by destroying the negatives, Bricker abandons the project and leaves. Hawkeye takes over the making of the film, which, instead of a serious documentary, becomes a farce in the style of the Marx Brothers but maintaining a somber ending, which General Clayton applauds. Flanders also played nationally known journalist William Allen White in the 1977 made-for-TV movie Mary White. This movie was based on the famous eulogy White wrote about his daughter after her death in 1922 from being hit in the head while riding her horse. He also appeared in the 1979 made-for-TV horror miniseries Salem's Lot as Dr. Bill Norton. He also played news anchor John Woodley in the 1983 made-for-TV suspense drama Special Bulletin, about a group of environmentalists who threatened to detonate a nuclear weapon in Charleston, South Carolina. Later Life and Death, a father of 4, Flanders continued working in telemovies in the early 1990s, but was suffering from depression, health issues including back pain from an automobile accident, and financial problems with his ranch in Northern California. He died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound on February 22, 1995 in Denny, California. Credits. Television 1967 Cimarron Strip as Alice Blinn, 1969 Daniel Boone as Lackland, 1971 The Name of the Game as Laszlo Subich, 1971 Travis Logan D.A. as Psychiatrist, 1971 Bar Cats. As Ben Tillman, 1971 Goodbye, Raggedy Ann as David Bevin, 1971 Macmillan and Wife as Tom Benton, 1971 Mission Impossible as Joe Belcher, 1972 Mannix as Tom Farnham, 1972 Nichols also known as James Garner as Nichols, 1972 Cades County as Benny Crawford, 1972 Ironside as Phil McIver, 1972 The Bold Ones, The New Doctors also known as The New Doctors as Phil McIver, 1972 Meters by RSH as Lieutenant Dwayne Bricker, 1972 Banyan as Sergeant Randall. 1973 Kung Fu as Alonzo Davis, 1973 Marcus Welby, MD also known as Robert Young, Family Doctor as Magruder, 1974 Barnaby Jones as Doc Fred Tucker, 1969 1975 Hawaii Five-0, 1969 Uptight as David Stone. 1973 Dead Cows at Macapue as Dr. Alexander Klein, 1970 The Quimerius Caper as Dmitry Rostov, 1972 While You're at It, Bring in the Moon, 1974 One Born Every Minute as Joe Connors, 1975, And the Horse Jumped Over the Moon. 1975 The Mary Tyler Moore Show as Father Terence Bryan, 1975 The Legend of Lizzie Borden ABC two-part docudrama. Air date, 257 as Hosea Knowlton, 1975 Attack on Terror, The FBI vs. the Ku Klux Klan CBS two-part docudrama. Air date, 275 as Justice Department Attorney Ralph Payne, 1976 Hallmark Hall of Fame as President Harry S. Truman, 1979 Backstairs at the White House as President Calvin Coolidge, 1979 Blind Ambition as Charles Schaffer, 1979 Salem's Lot also known as Bloodthirst as Dr. Bill Norton, 1982 1988 Saint Elsewhere in 120 episodes as Dr. Donald Westphall, 1993 Jack's Place as Marcus Toback, 1994 The Road Home as William Bryony. Films 1970 The Grasshopper or Passions or The Passing of Evil as Jack Benton, 1972 The Trial of the Catonsville Nine as Father Daniel Berrigan, 1972 The Snoop Sisters or The Female Instinct as Marlo Perkins, 1973 Hunter as Dr. Miles, 1974 Indict and Convict as Timothy Fitzgerald, 1974 Things in Their Season as Carl Gerlach, 1975 The Legend of Lizzie Borden as Hosea Knowlton, 1975 Attack on Terror, The FBI vs. the Ku Klux Klan as Ralph Payne, 1975 A. Moon for the Misbegotten as Phil Hogan, 1976 Eleanor and Franklin as Louis Howe, 1976 The Sad and Lonely Sundays as Dr. Frankman, 1976 Harry S. Truman, Plain Speaking as President Harry S. Truman, 1977 The Amazing Howard Hughes as Noah Dietrich, 1977 MacArthur as President Harry S. Truman, 1977 Mary White as William Allen White, 1979 Salem's Lot as Dr. Bill Norton, 1980 The Ninth Configuration or Twinkle, Twinkle, Killer Kane as Colonel Richard Fell, 1981 Incan Voice as President Harry S. Truman, 1981 True Confessions as Dan T. Campion, 1981 The Pursuit of D.B. Cooper or Pursuit as Brigadier, 1981 Skokie or Once They Marched Through 1,000 Towns as Mayor Albert J. Smith, 1982 Tomorrow's Child as Anders Stenslund, 1983 Special Bulletin as John Woodley, 1989 The Final Days as Leonard Garment, 1990 The Exorcist 3 as Father Dyer, 1991 The Perfect Tribute as Warren, 1992 Citizen Cone as Joseph N. Welch, 1993 Message from Nam as Ed Wilson, 1995 Bye Bye Love as Walter Sims. Awards and Honors. Emmy nominations 1979 a Euro Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Limited Series or a Special, 4, Backstairs at the White House, 1985 a Euro Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series, 4. Saint Elsewhere, 1986 a Euro Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series, 4. Saint Elsewhere, 1987 a Euro Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series, 4. Saint Elsewhere. Emmy Awards 1976 a Euro Outstanding Single Performance by a Supporting Actor in Comedy or Drama Special, 4. A Moon for the Misbegotten, 1977 a Euro Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama or Comedy Special, 4. Harry S. Truman, Plain Speaking, 1983 a Euro Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series, 4. Saint Elsewhere. Theatrical Awards Flanders won the 1974 Tony Award for Best Supporting or Featured Actor in a Dramatic Presentation for his performance in A Moon for the Misbegotten by Eugene O'Neill, for which he also received the 1974 Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Performance. References, Notes. External links, Ed Flanders at AllMovie, Ed Flanders at the Internet Broadway Database, Ed Flanders at the Internet Movie Database.